some reason there are certain guns that you buy that just kind of stick in your brain, and you remember exactly the day you bought it, why you bought it, the motivation, all that stuff. This is one of those guns. I remember the moment I saw it in the actual case, sitting in the gun store in Houston, and I thought to myself, I gotta have that gun. The funny thing about it is at the time, it was the most expensive gun I ever bought. It's the most money I ever spent on a gun, and it was a big deal to me. And it's funny, cause like right now, I've come so far from that, where this is, like now it's like, I still go to gun stores and I still buy guns. I do have companies that send me guns, so forth and so on, and I still enjoy the process of going to buy a gun, but nothing, I don't think is gonna top the experience of going and buying this gun. Just because one, it was the most expensive, and two, it was the most beautiful gun I think I bought at the time. Not I think, I know. So back, say 11, 12 years ago, I was like the plastic fantastic man. I was the guy, I was like, I want Glocks, I want Rugers, those type of stuff, plastic guns, semi-auto. I was a millennial. I was a early millennial, meaning like, you know, big portion of my life was spent in Generation X, but I just crossed that line to be considered a millennial. And 1911s were the expensive guns. The Glocks and stuff, those were the more affordable, more achievable guns. But the 1911s, those were the ones that were special for me, especially in my firearm journey. And I didn't truly kind of understand it. I mean, I did and I didn't. It's like you have plastic and then you have metal. And you know, during that time, think about it like cars. You know, the old muscle cars were made out of like metal, steel. Now they're just kind of weird aluminum, kind of real flimsy type of materials. But back then, though 1911s had a higher quality feel, they didn't really do anything for me visually. They all kind of looked the same. And there were no 1911s that made me say, hey, I don't want to spend that exorbitant amount of money, even though I'm broke, to buy this 1911. And it wasn't until one day in Houston, Texas, where I was at Fountain Firearms. Not Fountain, it was, I can't remember the name of the damn shop. But I remember walking in there, and I'd gone in there several times. During that time period, I was going to gun stores habitually. I was constantly going to gun stores, constantly going to gun shows, and just kind of deep sea diving into everything about firearms. And I loved going in there, handling them, touching them, looking at them, because I couldn't afford most of them. So what I was doing, I was buying guns, living with them for a while, learning them, and then selling them and trading them to get more guns, losing a ton of money. I do the same thing currently now with cars, because cars back then were prohibitively expensive. Not so much now, but you know, I'm still trading cars and doing stuff like that, losing tons of money doing it, but they were my passion. It's my passion, it's something that I love. And when I was at the store, I remember looking and I saw this gun in the case. And it was the first 1911 that I looked at and I said, damn, I want that. I want that gun. I'll pay the extra money. I think it was like $900 back then. That was like 12 years ago.
Before you finish watching this video, a word from our sponsor. Have you ever thought about making a living in the firearms industry? If you enjoy gun repair, ballistics, and learning about firearms, Sonoran Desert Institute's online courses might just be a good fit for you. To find out more, visit sdi.edu or call 480-999-4767 today.
And it was this Kimber Ultra Raptor. Like, this was so beautiful to me. Like, that's the blue finish with these wooden reptile grips. Even the name, the Ultra Raptor, right? It was just, and then at the time, I didn't really appreciate longer big barrel 1911s. For me, it was the smaller ones, more compact. I felt like the proportions looked so much better on the smaller 1911s than they did the bigger ones. So I remember looking at it and thinking, damn, I gotta have that. I gotta get that gun. But how do I do it? It's $900. I don't have money. I'm broke. But I did have several guns that I had bought over the time. It's cheaper guns, but guns nonetheless that still had some value. I remember thinking, okay, I could trade, because I think I spent 3 days kind of going back and forth into the store looking at it, hoping nobody would buy it. And I remember I spent like 3 days trying to figure out how I was going to get this gun. So I was like, okay, I could probably trade 2 of these guns and then maybe have to pay a little bit more and then I can get it. So that's kind of what I did. Which in the grand scheme of things, was it smart? I don't think it matters. I think you could quantify and put logic. The funny thing about men, and this is gonna sound very sexist, but I don't care. But the funny thing about men is, we like to rant and rave about how logical we are. And by and large we are, and how we don't kind of live in our emotions, except for when it comes to our toys. You wanna see a man be completely illogical? Watch him when it comes to making decisions about the things he's passionate about with respect to toys. Logic just goes out the window, dude. Like, it's just dumb. And I don't make any apologies for it. So the same way I'm sure most women don't make any apologies about how irrational they are when it comes to their purses and their shoes. But I remember I got this gun and I finally got it. And I remember thinking, holy hell, like I felt, it's kind of embarrassing, but I felt good about myself. I felt good. I was like, all right, I have this. This is such a cool. I'm in that league, right? Now I have this really high-end, high-priced gun, and in a lot of ways, I wish it kind of messed me up, because what it did do is it established a new standard for me. And so now anything I got, I was looking at it through the lens and the eyes of this gun. Now, it's kind of unfair because this Ultra Raptor it's a different type of gun. And before I said I bought this gun largely, I was kind of more inclined to the smaller guns. And the reason for that, smaller 1911s, and the reason for that is because everything I did was kind of concealed carry focused. And then that was also during a time period where the competition between 45 and 9mm was at its biggest point, right? It was like, do you carry 9, do you carry 45? And 45 has the knockdown power, 9mm, you gotta get more rounds though, and it's easier to shoot, so forth and so on. And then you still had that kind of boomerish mentality of like, if it's not a 45, then nothing at all. And again, because it's God's round. And to a degree, even though I made fun of it in certain videos where I talked about, the 45, I kind of subscribed to it on a subconscious level. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I just didn't have all the information for the most part. So now, I'm kind of more exclusively a 9mm gun carrier. But this gun, to me, was like, I wanted to carry a gun that I was super proud of carrying, that I thought was sexy. Even though you never saw it, because I was concealed carrying. But I thought, man, the idea of knowing I have this beautiful 45 with big old 45 bullets, and even though capacity-wise, it was like 6 rounds? 6 plus 1, 7? I wouldn't carry it today from that standpoint, but it is still, when I look at it, it still definitely gives me the same kind of feelings that I had before when I first saw this gun in that case that day in the gun store. I still look at it to this day and I think, damn, this is a good looking gun. I really, really do love the way this gun looks. It's a 45 and it's a small 45. So I'm not gonna say it shoots comfortably. It's a 45. And now it has some heft and weight to it. So the shooting experience isn't terrible, but I enjoy it. I still enjoy it to this day. I enjoy seeing it to this day. I still think it's one of the better looking guns in my collection. And it's completely subjective. I know there are gonna be some people that says, no, because there is a certain level of antiquity about the way that it looks. Because now you have these super high speed, low drag grips that come in 1911s and stuff. But just some of the smaller details on this gun were just unlike I've ever seen on any 1911. Like, you had this kind of Raptor scale on the top portion of the gun that I thought, I didn't really know if it did anything. I guess it cut glare, but I wasn't really sure. But I loved the way it looked. And it was one of those things that I would look at and then like, oh shit, I forgot those are on there, right? There's little details and you find something new about the gun that you like. Even the serrations here on the side, it's weird because they call it the Ultra Raptor, but there's so many different types of reptile patterns on the gun that could be from any reptile animal. And like, I couldn't even tell you what this mimics. I just know it's probably from some type of reptile. I don't know it could be a frog for all I know. But I enjoy looking at it, and it does actually function very well. Same thing here. The funny thing is, like, this part here reminds me of like a pterodactyl. Like how I would feel the skin of a pterodactyl would look, more so than say like a velociraptor, right? And it just, all of those things gave that gun the character and the personality that you'd sit at home and just kind of look at, and you just want to look at it. just constantly look at it. Of course, you have all the 1911 stuff. You got the grip safety, you got the safety, you have the hammer, you have skeletonized triggers, which I love. And this is one of the few guns that I actually like the rounded trigger guard on it. Usually I like to have a square trigger guard, but I think it works on this gun. And of course you got the night sights as well. And it's a very nostalgic gun for me because it was the point where I realized my gun purchasing from here on out was going to have no rationale. Everything at this point was going to be irrational. I'd already gotten my carry guns that I liked. This was the genesis, the catalyst for the gun guy you kind of see before you today. I'm gonna be real. So if you watch my videos and you're like, oh man, he obsesses over the way a gun looks, he obsesses over the way a gun feels, all the emotions and all that irrational nonsense that I like to belabor in my videos, which I think are important even though I'm being rather dismissive of them. This was the catalyst, this one here. And I was able to get Kimber to kind of put my logo on it, to kind of stamp it as, like this was the first. This is the first 1911. One of many.
You know, we talk a lot about empowerment in this country, except for when it comes to the Second Amendment. However, I can't think of anything more empowering than having the most effective tool to protect you and your family. So help me spread this message by liking and sharing this video with everyone you know. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment, because the Second Amendment, when it said militia, it wasn't talking about the government. It was talking about you. Also, if you want to know where to find the I'm the Militia shirt and merchandise, click the I'm the Militia link in the description section of this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, make sure you hit that bell symbol.